Chairman, and I appreciate Mr. Larson's reference to listening to real people. I want to read something to you that I got on October 17th, 2019. I'm going to read the whole thing, and I'm going to use both the first name and the last name of the person who wrote it. Dear Congressman Kelly, my name is Sarah Stewart, and I'm from St. Petersburg, Pennsylvania. It is my understanding that the House Ways and Means Committee is having a public hearing on H.R. 3, the Lower Drug Cost Now Act of 2019. It appears this legislation does not have bipartisan support and needs to take a more balanced approach. The balance is needed for patients like my 10-year-old daughter, Maddie. Maddie suffers from a rare mitochondrial deletion condition called Pearson's syndrome, which is a disorder that occurs as the result of mutated genes in the body. These genes impact the mitochondria of her cells and prevent them from producing enough energy for the body to function properly. Pearson's syndrome is difficult to diagnose because it affects each individual differently. Maddie's system, through the years, have included being blood transfusion dependent for several years, the inability to heal after exposure to sun, becoming type 1 diabetic, progressively losing her hearing and her vision, kidney failure, and several other daily complications, including developmental delays when having a body that runs on limited energy. It has been truly heartbreaking to see her endure this disease, but she continues to defy the odds. My simple message to you, Mr. Kelly, and to the rest of the committee, is there's no cure or treatments for Pearson's syndrome. Each day is a struggle to keep Maddie balanced so her body is able to better cope with symptoms of this terrible disorder. All we have, as well as many other families across the world, is hope. Please don't let partisan bickering impact the ability of researchers to discover and innovate new therapies that could save Maddie's life one day. The clock is ticking, and Maddie is waiting. Thank you. Respectfully, Sarah Stewart, St. Petersburg, PA. In addition to the letter, I called Sarah Stewart, and I said, you know what? I was really impressed that you took time to write it. She said, well, I'm scared to death, and what I'm understanding with this, that it'll be a lack of innovation. I want to tell you about Maddie. Maddie, we first discovered this when she was just a little bit over 1 year old. Things started happening to her, and as her mom, I knew there was something wrong. I didn't know what was wrong, but I knew there was something wrong. And we started taking her to doctors, and they kept saying, well, maybe there's something else. And then the tone of her skin started to change color a little bit, and she was diagnosed with this Pearson's disease. Now, I want to put this out because I think this is incredibly important. And usually at times like this, we are driven to our knees when somebody innocent and so vulnerable is put in a position like this. You can go on Facebook, and it's called Maddie's Followers, M-A-D-D-I-E-S Followers. The reason I say this is that when I talked to Sarah, and she was telling, you know, the two younger kids are okay, but this Maddie, she is one sassy little girl, and she's not going to give up on this. And I got to tell you, any prayers that we received will truly be appreciated. And so when we start talking about these things of what we're going to do and how we're going to do them, and geez, if you just stop and listen, if you could just get by all this anger that we have towards each other, we were really working on something very good. And it was over in the Senate, we thought, you know, we are going to come up with a solution, except for one thing. All of a sudden, H.R. 3 appears, and we said, well, this is what we've decided to go with, and we're walking away from the work that we've already done. And I got to tell you, speaking for Maddie, because she can't be here to speak for herself, what she's saying is, please, please, whatever you do, don't stifle innovation. Please don't make it impossible for us to move forward. I think that sometimes we get so caught up in the politics of Washington, D.C., that we forget about what the policy is really about, and it's about people. It's about a little 10-year-old girl in St. Petersburg, Pennsylvania, who was diagnosed at 1 year old with Pearson's disease, and what she is doing, she is relying on elected officials to do the right thing for the right reasons. And if we do that, good things will happen. We have an excellent opportunity. I would suggest that we go back and work across the street with the Senate and come up with something that truly can go into law, can be signed by the president, and can save lives. Why would we turn our back on innovation? This is I haven't seen anything like this before in my life. I know in the business that I've been in all my life in innovation, If we had had this same policy when it came back to when Henry Ford invented the Model T, that's what would still be driving. Thank you, and I yield back.